Luke Priddis, ladies and gentlemen, won 2 premierships, Brisbane and then Penrith, and played for the New South Wales Blues between 1998 and 01. He joins us again. Thank you so much for your time and welcome back to the show, mate.
Thanks, Marty. Hi, everyone.
Wow. How about that last night? I'm still stunned, to be honest.
Yeah, look, I think it will go down as sort of one of the great games in Origin history. 2-0 at half-time. The Queenslanders were pretty epic in their defence, given that New South Wales, I think they probably had around 70% of the ball, and most of that was sort of down near, or at least in Queensland's half. And like Queensland seemed to do, they just seemed to pop out on top at extraordinary times, and then obviously held on right until sort of the last sort of 15 minutes, and I think probably just I think maybe the rotation of Queensland and the lack of forwards on the bench may have got them in the end in terms of fatigue. And I think that's sort of what Blues were aiming to do. And as I said, being a New South Welshman, it was great to be at the game surrounded by dirty Queensland fans and to be able to stand up when the whole crowd was quiet and do big claps and cheers. I think there was another bloke in front of me about 2 seats away that him and his wife had his Blues jumpers on, so we were all cheering each other. But the crowd was pretty quiet. But regardless of the result, I think games 1 and 2 they were probably over by half time, and this is the game that all Origin fans wanted to see. And look, there may be some decisions that people can say that the ref made this and made that, but I think overall he had a pretty good game, and it was actually the footballers that decided the outcome.
Yeah, so much to unpick there. I'm just saying, nodding my head to it all. Look, I know it's the oldest cliche in sport, isn't it? But I actually do believe that the sport was the winner last night, and that first half, I mean, how stunned were you at the end of it and Spencer gave away a really unnecessary penalty, but I'm just sitting there going, how the hell are they going in with the lead? I mean, because that was the most depressing thing about it, just thinking, my God, we've dominated this whole half here, or most of it, yet they've got the lead.
Yeah, exactly, and that was sort of, as I said, the fear that we'd had all the ball, we had dominated. Like Queensland, if you look at it, only got out because of the couple of penalties that New South Wales gave them. Otherwise, they were struggling to get past the 30-metre line for every kick that sort of either Daly or the young fullback Walsh was putting in, didn't seem to do too much kicking. But we're right on top, and as you said, then at the end they pop away. They did, and I think if there was ever question marks over that young bloke's playing future in Origin, I think he sort of stood up for Queensland last night, and he made that sort of first break in the game, and they end up going into the sheds at 2-0 up. So how that happened, we don't know, but again, I totally agree that the game was the winner, but a little bit better that the Blues won, not Queensland.
Eat it, Queensland fans here in New Zealand, man. I mean, we suffer for long enough, man. So, look, we're the underdogs now. We can claim that. Look, that first half, just the physicality of it. I thought Klein did a great job as well. Under that kind of pressure, under that kind of stress. And when I say that, everyone wants the game to flow. Nobody wants him to be nitpicky. Everyone, but at the same time, was a 10 kept in that first half, or was that supersonic defenders, who just seemed to, be running as fast as Usain Bolt? Can we actually point the finger and say he kept a pretty loose kind of 10?
Oh, look, yeah, I think at some points he did. I said, having my blue eyes on, I think there was a couple of set to 6 where Queensland was sort of the player right next to him was standing in front of him. But look, I think it went sort of both ways. When you sort of look at it, and I was sort of down on ground level at the stadium, so it was sort of pretty easy to see where they were. I think for most of the time they were sort of they were onside, so I think both sides got to be pretty happy with the way he sort of refed that. But look, as I said, I just think that Queensland went in with a couple of forwards short, and I think they got found out because they just didn't have the penetration to get out of their own end when they were under sort of pressure there. And New South Wales sort of had Spencer Lee come in off the bench and
all series, mate.
Big forwards, and they rolled. But that's what the coaches are paid to do, and Billy might need to go back to the drawing board. But pretty happy with, as I said, with the refereeing decisions. I think he's one of the best refs that we've had for a while, I think. And yes, no one's going to be perfect, but I think he let the players decide the game last night, not his decisions.
Luke Priddis with us as we're talking Origin. 2 sin bins to Jeremiah Nanai and Cam Murray. And look, the commentary, and you wouldn't have heard it, but, the commentators at that stage were screaming, really worried about, look, this is Origin, you can't send guys to the bin. Cam Murray especially, he came off the bench. Did you think he handled that well? Because the last thing anyone wanted to see was another red card or something, but there had to be something, didn't there, that said to the players, you can't do this?
Yeah, exactly. I think he did handle it well. I think the rules around Origin being a different match to the club football, look, I do agree. But, in that sense and the timing of the match, no, he couldn't have players running like they did. And, if it was just a bit of a push and shove and a couple, but, you saw there on the big screen at the stadium, plus obviously on television that, cameramen and all that were being knocked over. So it turned into a sort of a pretty, I suppose, ugly scene. Lucky there wasn't sort of any other damage sort of done. But no, I think he handled that well. And reading the papers this morning saying that, in the microphone, he was saying that I'm assuming he was mentioning Murray, if he has run in, then it's a send-off. Look, it could have just been him saying it's a send-off in terms of he's going to the bin.
Yeah. That's what I thought. That's what I said,
until you sort of look back on the scene and you actually do see him sort of come from the bench, and it's hard to tell, was he on the bench or had he sort of got replaced just beforehand and was still walking? I don't know. I didn't get to see that too much, but, we didn't want to see a game ruined by having sort of 12 on 13 again. I think just, again, with my blue eyes on, there could have been a Queensland skipper go to the sin bin then for instigating the whole thing to start with. So, but again, I think he handled it well.